What's going on, CALIVEGANs, and welcome into another episode of the CALIVEGAN podcast. As you can see, I am getting more shredded. Right, today it's pool day. We're going to talk about nutrition, plant-based nutrition, and some of the myths or the things that I don't agree on when it comes to the rest of the fitness industry. You probably know we're going to talk about protein. But before that, I'm going to roast a specific type of vegan because I think it's important, especially in the world of animal rights and activists. It's important to make this point because I don't like, I like them. I just want to make a point and comment on this behavior that I think is not doing any good to the vegan movement. Start with the first set as usually. So last week, one arm assisted pull up. We did three sets of 3. So I'm going to start with 3 and see how it feels. I am lighter because I'm dieting, so I think absolutely amazingly felt and well executed. And 3. So let's roast some vegans because actually I had this conversation with my girlfriend yesterday and she was like that she doesn't know. So I told her something that happened this last weekend during activism, right? So there was a woman start watching the slaughter of some pigs, and she started laughing, and she started telling me, you should have tried steak, you should have tried bacon. As I told to her, she raised her voice and kept screaming similar things at me. So I was like, I did try it. I just don't want to kill animals. I don't think pleasure justifies putting pigs in gas chamber because that's what was in the screens, right? It's crazy how people can make this comment while watching, pigs being gassed. I mean, isn't that crazy? I don't understand that because I've never imagined myself having that kind of reaction because I went vegan the first time I saw these things. So this girl started screaming at me, and my girlfriend, started saying that both sides should respect themselves, right? You should not, in the sense that also vegan shouldn't be in the face of other people because is misrespecting this person. And what I don't like about that concept is that if we do not get in the face of people, how do we get those people to change? My girlfriend said, people at the end of the day will do whatever they want and they have to be allowed to do whatever they want. And I completely disagree with that. I think people should do what's right and should not be able to do what's wrong. Unfortunately, we cannot put animal abuser in most cases, definitely in most cases, because meat, dairy and Angus industry is where most of the animal abuse happens, and these people are protected by the law. So we cannot really do anything else than being an activist and being on their face and being uncomfortable to them. And I'm not disrespecting this person. I'm trying to make these people respect animals, and what they're doing is disrespecting animals. And I think that this idea that what happens in the world is always so important, right? Someone that is driving with his heart to his grandmother and here she is. to have lunch or dinner, that, his experience, his things to do in life, his family life, are more important than animals dying, it's just wrong. It's just wrong. That there needs to be a switch in what has more priority in the world, right? We live, our life is lived upon comfort and more comfort and more comfort, and we think that's what's important, but it's not really. We cannot just think of our own comfort and think that's what's most important these days. So what's the point? The point is that there is nothing wrong about being a bit less of an activist and don't being so straightforward and radical about veganism and with people and bringing up the argument all the time, or actually get on the street and do activism, right? And get upset about animal abuse. There's nothing wrong if this is not what you want to do as a vegan. If you don't have that inner fire that truly makes you want to prioritize the vegan conversation, to raise awareness for the animals all the time, absolutely nothing wrong about it. But trying to slow down people that are like that, I think that's what's wrong. Okay, so thinking that some vegans and animal rights activists that are more radical than you, let's say, more active than you, are being disrespectful toward people because they keep bringing up these inconvenient and uncomfortable conversation, then I have a problem. Then I have a problem with that. If you feel like what you want to do is plant-based recipes, it's fine. It's not activism for me, but it's fine. It's part of the process, the world. We need people that do recipes because there's people that like recipes, and if they like vegan recipes, they will do more vegan recipe and less, non-vegan recipes. So that's great. That's great. But don't think that the ones that instead show slaughterhouse footage all the time and are trying to hold people accountable for their participation to these images are too direct. Because in fact, this is how you would like to be spoken for if you were in the victim position, like the animals, right? I don't think the animals want people to do activism through making vegan recipes, right? They will want you to go inside of the slaughterhouse and get them out to the slaughterhouse. This is what they would like you to do, right? So everyone is at different levels, absolutely fine, but at the same time, we need to understand that the more activism is better. The less is not better because it's less. The more direct is better because it's simply more direct. The less direct is worse because it's less direct. You're going around the problem. You're not going straight to the problem, right? With that said, let's go back into building muscle as a vegan because I look very shredded with the diet. Do you agree?
Yeah, you are more shredded.
So, we have 13 seconds of rest. I'm just going to wait for my next set. So I did 3 sets of 3 last week. Just going to keep it 3 and do 4 sets this week it sounds about the right thing to do to keep it clean. I think this is third set. That's what I do to my girlfriend to make her laugh. All right. Where do vegans get protein? So, most of the vegan fitness industry and most vegan fitness influencers, to answer this question, they go tofu, texturized vegan protein, seitan, fake meat, and protein powder, right? So you often have people that don't even include legumes, because legumes is carbs, it's not good, right? For the same amount of calories you get more protein from tofu. All right, but where is the problem with that? I mean, the problem is on the answer that these people is giving. I see something inherently wrong on the fact that they directly suggest processed food in order to get to a healthy outcome, getting enough protein, which it relates to strength and building muscle. But my answer to this is, first of all, your protein target, and I'm going to talk more about this after, is unrealistic. You have an idea of what's needed that's not what's actually necessary. You don't even need it. So that's one thing. On the other side, my answer to where do you get protein as a vegan is protein is in everything. All right? You don't have to think that protein is only in some specific food, right? Because when you were not vegan, you thought animal products or meat is where you get protein from, right? And this brainwashing got stuck into your mind, and it makes you think that now you take off meat and you need to put something that has protein, and you don't consider everything else. So protein is in everything. And if you prioritize whole plant food, minimize like processed sugary food that really don't have much protein in it, but if you eat fruits, nuts, vegetables, dark leafy greens, cruciferous vegetables, which are also high in protein, dark leafy greens also have good protein. Mushrooms have good protein, and then you have grains, right, that also give you a good amount of protein. And on top of that, you make sure that you have a couple of portions of legumes throughout the day. You will get enough protein, all right? So my answer to that again is protein is in everything, and to make sure that you up a little bit your daily protein intake, just make sure that you have legumes in your main meals, right? This is my answer to that. Let me know if you agree or not. All right. Dropping the resting time to 3. feel like doing, because my right is definitely stronger than my left, but feels like I'm doing better with my left than my right, and because my overall energies goes down before I get to the right arm. But that's important to do because let's say if you have an imbalance like me, everyone has got imbalance, everyone has got a stronger side compared to the other, especially if you're starting out. Usually it really is like that. If you start with your stronger side and you prioritize progress with that, then you will never be able to match with your weakest side. And that's going to become a problem. It's just going to make the problem bigger and bigger and make you more and more unbalanced. And that's not good. That's also a reason why you might get injured over time. So always start with your weakest side and match it with your strongest. You'll make progress anyway. You're not slowing yourself down unless the imbalance is very, very big. But even in that situation, weakest side first, match with the strongest, and eventually they'll balance out and you start making good progress. But do not make the mistake to make the imbalances worse. What we got next? We got next front lever raises to one leg hold. The 4 sets of 6 last week. I'm gonna go for 3 sets of 7 because I know I did less volume on my first exercise because last week I added 6 repetitions with a hard band. So that was more volume than what I've done today, even though today was more intense. But when you do less volume, you build up less fatigued. So I think, and I'm also lighter. You know, I'm doing diet, so I'm lighter. And so I think I can do 3 sets of 7 instead of 4 sets of 6. So hopefully that makes sense. No? No, today is pool, so I'm going to stay in the bathroom. Alright, so no. 7 doesn't seem to be doable for 3 sets. So I'm just going to keep 4 sets of 6. See, like first set, it's your warm-up, it's, you know, how you feel that day. It's very wrong to go to failure for your first set. Alright, so where do vegans get good protein? And here he is, struggling to get, so someone in the comments said, I'm struggling to get in 220 grams of protein per day as a vegetarian. I mean, like, where do you people get your conclusions? What is that? Because I weigh right now 85 kilograms, right? If I wanted to get to that stupid 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight target, that would be for me 170 grams, right? So that 220 grams, where does it come from? Does this guy weighs 110 kilograms and so he wants to do the 2 grams per kilogram of body weight? Even if that was the case, if he actually weighs 110 kilograms and he's lean, but obviously it's not, in order to get that amount of protein, it would be easier because he would be able to eat like 4,000 calories per day without getting fat because he's huge, he's lean. And by eating 4,000 calories per day, it's going to be easy to get in 220 grams of protein per day. And also, he's vegetarian. Like, what are you talking about? Like eggs and cheese, they have protein, and they're, especially eggs, not cheese, but eggs are a good source. They're not a good source of protein. I mean, they're just high in protein. They are full of animal abuse and cholesterol, saturated fat. Not good. You don't need eggs, but definitely they do have more protein inside. So I think the main problem is people are really don't understand it. They're very confused about their protein intake. So yeah, like if you're struggling to get 220 grams, I should add another thing about this. Like if this is a theory, right? But let's say he's actually 110 kilograms. It's probably fat, right? So maybe he's fat and he has calculated like this his protein intake, but you don't do that calculation like that. You need to calculate your protein based on your ideal weight with a low amount of body fat. Otherwise, what do? Like obese people that don't train and are sedentary, they need like 600 grams of protein per day. Doesn't really make sense. And 6 again. I believe they were clean repetitions. So if you're struggling to get 200 to 220 grams of protein per day, the problem is that you are just having an unnecessary / unrealistic goal for your protein intake. I suggest you drop it to 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, and don't calculate that if you have, don't calculate that on your total body weight if you have a belly, right? Calculate that based on your ideal body weight, right? That says, here comes, someone saw a study where 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight doesn't do much. Okay, and then I answered him that like it's not really a study that I am citing when I suggest 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. It's just the general science knowledge, right? It's just a conclusion that we have that 1.2 grams of protein is enough to promote athletic performance and regeneration of soft tissue, right? So it's a conclusion. It's not a theory that I have. On the other side, I don't like the idea of people always going to study here, study there, because remember that studies is what suggests that the human body needs the milk of another species in order to be healthy and have healthy bones, right? So that doesn't make any sense. So studies, you need to be very careful with study. You cannot just base your whole belief and knowledge on studies, especially if they are single studies that you just read. You can consider them, but you cannot come out with this study said this, because you will find studies about everything, right? And I am not the study guy, right? I'm not all day reading studies. I don't really care, because I prefer looking at the general knowledge and what actually it's clear and does make sense. And what this guy says then is that this study was coming from the Game Changers, all right, and fuck. What is going on there? So the study was coming from the Game Changer, and was suggested that the higher 1.62 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight was suggested for elite fighters, elite athletes in general. But I don't know, for me these are some random statements that reality is they might be based on actual benefit that comes out of this study, but they're minimal benefit. And then where they're presented to the general population as, oh, this gives benefit, I believe general population buys it as, oh, shit, like if I don't eat all this protein, then I'm not going to get results, or I'm going to get half of the results. My journey is going to be so slow. That's not the case. The difference is going to be probably minimal. It's just a way of optimization and this obsession that humans have to, let's say, go after perfection, but I believe is not necessary. Another point I can do about this again is that if you're talking about MMA fighters, they're going to be burning so many calories. Like, even if you are a light fighter, you probably burn some 2,000 extra calories per day from training extra. So these people can easily get to 3,500 calories per day without putting on any extra fat. And if that's the case, eating all this protein is not even a problem. It's coming naturally because they just eat so much food. All right, and also related to this in a different way, it's a bit of a different concept, but there is this idea that when you're cutting, you need to eat more protein, and I actually do the opposite when I'm cutting, because then when I'm cutting and when I'm trying to get shredded, which is working, as you can see, you can just go back and watch my last week podcast. I actually eat less protein because I eat more fruit, because it's my way of managing hunger while I'm doing a caloric deficit, because fruits are low in calorie dense food, and have fiber, so it makes a good snack for someone who is in a deficit. Ah, fuck. Ah. That's how you get to failure. So yeah, there is this idea that you need to eat enough, more protein to preserve lean muscle mass when you're doing a deficit. And, the concept of preserving muscle mass while you're doing a deficit does make sense, but again, we are giving too much emphasis and focus to the protein because there are other very important factors that, to me, they're just more important. Number one, you are starving your body. You're not giving your body the calories to feel at its top energy level, right? And to give the muscle or the glycogen they need in order to function at its peak performance. Therefore, you're probably going to have worse workout. Now, you can still make progress while on a calorie deficit. That's possible, you push through that struggle. But overall, especially if you are a bit more advanced, you're probably going to go a little bit down in your progress, especially in the volume. You might be able to do those first exercises well. You might even be able to progress there. But when it comes to the point you're fatigued during the workout, you're probably going to do a bit less repetitions, less sets. Who knows? Maybe you even stop the workout earlier because you're just tired from dieting. So that's something to consider, right? So, and this would be a reason that's much more relevant than protein that causes you to lose lean muscle. The fact that you have lost strength, right? So that's one thing. The other thing, obviously related, is that your muscle, the glycogen store inside of your muscle is depleted, and glycogen is stored with water. So you are going to lose muscle. So you don't lose actual muscle fibers, but your lean mass is going to be reduced. You actually look smaller usually when you're on a diet, right? I look smaller right now because I am depleting my body from nutrients, from glycogen. My muscles have less glycogen and less water, so they look a little bit smaller. If you would do a calculation of the lean mass, your lean mass would go lower as you start a caloric deficit, just because you're giving your muscle less glycogen, and therefore they store less glycogen and less water, and therefore they are smaller, and therefore you have less lean mass, but that doesn't mean you're losing muscle. This is just natural process of being on a caloric deficit. Chin-ups with 10 kilograms, 10 repetitions. And 10. Good stuff. So we have that. Right, now that we have that clear, this is the last part of this, which again is more important than the protein, which is the simple fact that when you have more fat, your body it's able to keep more muscle mass. So it's pretty simple. So it's normal that your total muscle mass is more when you're fatter than when you are leaner. But it's just who you are, right? As you build muscle, your fatter self will always have more muscle than your leaner self. right? But that doesn't mean you're not building muscle. You are. They're just in these two different points, and they go up and down eventually this way. So after all this, then it comes protein. They might or might not, like I really don't think there is a huge deal to eat more protein. But they do these studies, which these studies are usually about what's the protein synthesis response and not in actual lean mass. And also, what is not clear to me when they do these studies, what happened in the freaking training. Because are you telling me that you get stronger, you make the progress that you're supposed to make inside of your training, and you're not getting results? Again, I'm simply not buying that because of my own experience and my clients' experience. So even if there was this benefit in eating more protein, it still comes after all these other factors, right? So in my opinion, again, it's not important to focus on protein in this case when you're cutting, because at the end of the day, you will finish your cutting phase at some point. You start eating more calories, you will recover, your muscle will get filled with glycogen again. As soon as you start eating more calories, you will see it actually is the time you look the best. When you just done a diet, you lost 5-6 kilograms of fat perhaps, and you feel like you got skinny, but then as soon as you get back into your higher caloric diet, your muscle just pump up and you look the best you ever had. And so yeah, and at the end of the day, even if you do lose strength during this period in the deficit, you're going to regain strength. So I don't know, it just also in this case, for me, it's not that important to focus on a higher amount of protein. And I think it's more important to focus on less protein because it allows you for more fruit into your diet, makes you fuller, and it allows you to have more snacks as you're losing fat. And 11. And again, I'm very bad at doing this podcast. I forget the most important part for me in the beginning. If you are on YouTube, like, comment, share this with your friends, and let's help this podcast grow, because I do like to go through things and talk while I work out. Let me know in the comments if there is some topic or answer that you want me to address during the CALIVEGAN podcast. And we are not live on Instagram yet because I've been banned again from insulting a non-vegan, or actually threatening him to kick him in the face. And if you are a vegan man and you're looking to build muscle with calisthenics, so like me, you can be an inspiration for other men to become vegan, just proving that they don't need animal products in order to be stronger, build muscle. I can help you, giving you the nutrition plan, the training plan, and the accountability that helped more than 200 vegans that have been worked with me get great results. Go to my Instagram, go to my clients' results story, see if that's something that you want to achieve as well, and send me a DM saying CALIVEGAN, and we'll go through your goals, your struggle, and explain you how I can help you achieve your goals too. So where were we? Recipes, yes. I did wanted to say something about recipes. Stop it. Stop looking for recipes. Right? That's for weak. That's for comfort, right? Building muscle and strength and the tough mindset, which is what you want to do, right? What you want to become a more disciplined, a more consistent man, prouder of yourself, and a fancy recipe is just not part of the journey, right? The good thing is that fruit and vegetables taste fine, and eating them simple, it's still good. So stop looking for recipes and find a simple way to approach your diet. You want to know your calories, and you want to know, of course, protein, 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, and then you want to understanding what portioning you should be eating, the different categories of food, and how to organize them inside of your day. All right, so we've done 10, we've done 11, and I think we should try and do 12. All right, we've done 11 with some extra time under tension at the end. And you know, it's actually, you know, I agree that people should not be stop themselves from going vegan for the fear of not building muscle and strength, right? I think it's still wrong and selfish to think that building muscle and strength is more important to save animals' lives, right? So especially in a world where we need to be somewhat strong, but we are not going to war, right? We're not going to fight other tribes every day with armors, heavy armors and sticks. You know, we don't do that on a daily basis anymore. So even if you had to be less strong and less muscular because you're vegan, I think it should still be the right thing to do. And but apart from that, you know, at the end of the day, it is a very important part of the puzzle of raising awareness for people to be that example of optimized human. Because just this weekend doing activism, I was talking with a family who was very compassionate, like they were truly getting the information and they were prone to go vegan. But there was the son, actually the father pointed at the son and told me, you know, this is a meat eater, you know, you want to be strong, you want to be muscular. And I was like, want to be muscular? You know, touch me. You know, and he touched me, and I saw in his eyes his surprise and his conviction and changed mindset on the fact that, oh, you can do this as a vegan too, you know. And I believe that you know, that might ease his pathway towards going vegan after adding as it adds it is as it added to the animal agriculture footage and all the reasoning that I've done with them about animals and why it's wrong to consume animal products. And that's it for today. We got last set. Ballena, can you count 12?
Yeah. Why I have to count?
Because it motivates me not to give up
Okay.
earlier.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Come on, 9. Come on, 10. 11. Come on, 11. Come on. Come on, 12. 13.
Ah, fuck. Thanks for watching. Thanks for counting. Leave a comment, like, share with your non-vegan friends,
Right.
subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. That's for the thumbnail, so I don't have to do it again. Let me know if you like the thumbnail. I'll see you in the next one.